Today we're going to find out why this generator is not starting. This is an Onan generator, Marquis Platinum 5500 fuel injection. The issue is it's not starting, sounds like it's not getting fuel. I checked the fuel pump, which is mounted next to the generator here, and can hear it working when pressing the prime switch. Before I start checking the lines, I take the filter off to expose the carburetor. I tried starting it again, but no sign of fuel and no smell at all. Using starting fluid, I want to make sure the engine kicks over. It wants to start. This confirms it's a fuel problem. It's just not getting to the carburetor. So this line is coming from the pump, going right into the filter. I took the clamp off of it, and we're going to double check if the issue is before the pump, as I suspect. The hose and the filter are completely dry. When pushing the primer, it only puts out air. So there's either a crack in the line or the hose came off the top of the tank. I checked the line starting at the input side of the pump and found the issue right away. This is where the hose broke. It actually cracked. By tracing the hose from the pump to the tank, I found a crack on the hose about 8 inches from the pump, right at the elbow where it was wrapped to an angle line. The rest of the hose going to the tank seems to be fine for now, so I cut off the piece just past the cracked area. The plan is to join it together with a new piece of hose rated for fuel and join together with one of these aluminum connectors with a hose clamp on each side. It would be ideal to change the whole thing, but it's easier said than done. The whole fuel tank needs to be dropped to be able to get to the fitting on top of the tank, which I'm not up to right now. Before I crawl under the generator, I insert the aluminum connector with a hose clamp on one side of the new fuel line and tighten it. It's much easier to do this now than while laying on your back under the generator. Once that's done, I can go under the generator and insert this other side of the connector into the old line where I cut the bad piece. Then connect the other end into the pump with another clamp. The end of this hose coming from the tank is where I cut off the cracked hose, in which I have temporarily clamped it with a small vice grip to stop the fuel from pouring out. Before I connect a new hose to it, we first connect the other end to the intake side of the pump, and then I tighten the clamp. Now I take the hose coming from the fuel tank, in which has the vice grip to stop it from leaking, and move it up so there's room to insert the connector. Then insert the other side of the connector into the old hose, making sure a clamp is inserted on the hose first. Tighten up the clamp and take off the vice grip that's stopping the fuel from flowing from the tank. With both clamps not tightened, I make sure the hose is not rubbing on anything. Now, with the hose still disconnected from the fuel filter, I press the prime switch while holding the end of the hose in the pan. I can hear the air coming out at first, and finally we got fuel. Just to clarify, this hose is coming from the fuel pump here, and it goes through this protection cover before connecting into the filter. Next, I tightened the hose clamp to the filter and made sure all the other clamps are retightened as well. You want to have a sealed system. Next, I primed the whole system again for about 5 seconds to make sure there's no air in the hoses and filter. Then I start it and let it run for about 5 minutes to make sure all the air pockets are gone from the system. While it's running, I check for leaks and tuck in anything out of place. Now, let me try to summarize all this. The reason it was not getting fuel is because the hose coming from the tank to the pump inlet was cracked. So because the crack was before the pump inlet, in other words, between the pump inlet and the fuel tank, it had lost the prime. And as I was trying to prime it, it was just sucking air instead of fuel from the tank. If instead the crack was after the pump outlet, then the system would have stayed primed most likely. And the fuel would have been leaking out of the hose going into the filter, or the hose past the filter, which is in the generator area where it gets pretty hot there. That would have been way more dangerous. Hopefully the way I explained it makes sense. Well, thank you for watching. I hope this video helped you along the way. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments. See the description for links of tools and materials used in this video. And you all have a great day.